Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We finally got a name for this podcast, In Good Company, where I get to experience or share the blessings of relationships with people that have come into my world at any point in my life. And again, the value of your life is who you spend your time around. And Casey Flaherty, one of our agents, introduced us probably close to a year ago, maybe 8 months ago.
A year,
yeah. And it comes to find out we've got a lot in common. We come from the same place. We're cut from some of the same cloth. He graduated from Dulles High School in 1996. I graduated from Butler High School in 1997. A lot of friends intertwined. But he's the branch manager of Canopy Mortgage, father of 2 kids. He's got a new baby, 6 months old.
So that makes 3.
That makes 3.
Yeah.
What? Oh, that's third.
That's the third.
Okay, I was saying this. Girl, boy? Or,
boy,
sorry,
girl.
Boy, girl. Okay.
Yeah.
University of Louisville athlete, played on the basketball team. Was that Patino or Crum? Coach Crum,
yep.
96 to 2000. Proud to call him a friend and another real estate professional, Tony Williams. Welcome, and we're in good company.
There you go. Thank you for having me. Glad to see all the great things you're doing and glad to be on the show.
I'm not doing great things. I'm just surrounded by great people, especially my wife. So tell us who you are. I laid it out, but kind of give me your take on who Tony Williams is.
First and foremost, a believer in God. I'm very faithful. My family means more to me than anything else. And I just want to be a good servant while I'm here on earth. So faithful loyalty to my wife, to my family, to my kids, and to the profession and the people I give my word to means a lot to me.
Yeah, integrity is huge. Like, people got to be able to trust you. Oh, speaking of trusting, I missed this part. Co-founder and CEO of One Touch NIL, which is a startup company. You and some family. You have family involved?
Yeah,
in it?
I started it. I brought some family along, and it's a baby right now because the NIL space is kind of taking a shape.
Right.
So we are just putting ourselves in a position to research and just be on the front line. And so as things change, we can take part and help athletes, help businesses to take part in what NIL has to offer.
Okay, so from the business side, we're going to talk about 2 things. Probably you as a mortgage professional, a real estate in the real estate space. And then I do want to dive into NIL because I think that's a topic that's very interesting and it has a lot of depth to it. So how long have you been a mortgage broker?
I've been a mortgage loan originator since late 2018. 2018. Yeah, so going on 6 years.
Okay, so you got to ride. You're kind of riding a little bit of the wave right now. 2018 was How on the Hog, make something while the sun's shining. Make hay while the sun's shining. 2018 took us into 2019, 2020 with COVID. We didn't know what was going to happen with that. And now we're in a space where interest rates have been elevated, not historically elevated, but at least in people's, proximity biased, right? Their short-term memory. And then now we're in we're heading into an election with some instability, but the Fed has lowered rates. So talk to us about what's going on in the world of mortgage right now.
Sure. You kind of hit it on the head. There was a point during COVID where rates were historically low. People were buying, people were refinancing, people that were prepared and in a good space, whether there was their first home or a second home or even an investment opportunity. A lot of people took advantage of that. And then once rates started elevating after COVID, it was a bit of a change for people. The fruit wasn't so low to the ground.
Yeah.
And as a loan officer, it was one of my first realizations that this business requires actually selling, actually getting out and grinding. And I love to grind. I love the grind.
Right.
But when it was easy during COVID, it could have given sort of a false perception that it would remain that way forever. And as I've learned, that was possibly a one-off situation where you could get a rate in the maybe high threes, some even in the low threes.
I had
twos.
one just over 2.
There you go.
Yeah.
And fours easily, to where when you tell somebody or quote someone 6.5% or 7% even, they look at you like you're crazy, especially if they currently own a home and the consideration is selling their current home and giving up that high 3, low 4, whatever to in your case 2s, to move into a 6 or 7% space. That is crazy to many people. So I definitely can understand that. So
I've been blessed with, again, being around people that share knowledge with me and share things, and I see things manifest themselves. This was probably about 5 years ago. A friend of mine said, the worst thing you can do is try to time the market. The best thing you can do is put time into the market. And I think that's what we forget in the current state. And, by the time this airs, there'll be some other things that happens, but real estate will always be an appreciating asset. Why? Because there's a finite amount of real estate out there. We don't make more land. You can build high rises, but at the end of the day, it's going to be an appreciating asset over a long period of time. If you're trying to guess when to buy a house or not buy a house, that's in my opinion, that's the wrong approach. It's one of the hierarchy of basic needs is shelter. So buy a house, use it for its utilitarian purpose of shelter. And when you need to upgrade your shelter, you're going to be in a good place. Now, if you're trying to flip a house, that ain't going to work. But what do you say to that?
I've had some pretty good mentors in this business. To your point, one of them told me that 2 things people will always need, that's food and shelter. So that means that we should relatively always have a job, right? And then another good mentor told me that people should buy the house, date the rate, right? Because the rate is a number that will always move. It will move up and it will move down. And you may pass on an opportunity, again, to your point, trying to time the market, and realize that opportunity was actually a good opportunity because you missed time that home could have appreciated. You missed time where it was one price, now people are offering so much more over and above what you could have got it for. And by the time the rate gets where you timed it to be, even if you were right, you could have refinanced and still been in that same spot without paying that much more.
Yeah, and I think the only time you get yourself in if you're buying a home and you're going to own it for 2 years, everything after that's going to be gravy. You're going to get to net zero at 2 years to 3 years, and then 5, 6 years from now you're going to be fine. So, why mortgage? What about this industry other than the money? Because obviously the money is the tool that we're trying to feed our family and feed our why and feed our faith and feed our family. But why do you like attaching your purpose in life to the mortgage industry?
I think it goes back to the original introduction. When you asked about me, service. I think service is a tool that hopefully can get you into heaven. And I believe that if I provide quality service to enough people for something that is a need, again, like shelter, that it could potentially be one of my tickets to get there, to get upstairs. And that means a lot to me and to my family. Coming from coaching and before that playing basketball, I have a love for teaching. I have a love for giving back, and I have a love for people that I can give something to. And so at some point I realized that working for JCPS, coaching with a family, it was a lot. And I was spending a lot of time with people, which I like to do, but I had to look at my family and say that I need to spend as much or more time with my family because I have a young family.
Right.
And so when I realized that I could trade coaching, teaching, kids, giving back, education. I was a teacher of students with learning behavior disorders, or ECE, which also meant a lot to me. When I realized I could trade that for teaching about home ownership, the three main things we'll look at on an application: credit, income, and assets. and I could give some sense of hope to people that did not believe that they could ever achieve the goal of home ownership, I prayed about it. And what I got back was, that's a fair trade, because I hated walking away from the students. I hated walking away from the kids that I was able to coach. At Doss, we won the 6th region 2 out of the 3 times that I was the coach. We won the district every time I was the coach. The 2 times we won the region, we were able to go to Rupp Arena and play, or at least have a chance to play for the state championship. And the second time we went, we ended up runner-up for state. Mm-hmm. So I did not take my job lightly while I was there. There was a lot of time, energy, and effort put in. And again, the answer that I got back was, it's okay. Let's trade this for helping families achieve that shelter goal, home ownership, which is an appreciating asset. And that's still service. Yep. And that's what I have, that's what I get out of it. It's not money, even though it pays well, but service and what I can give to families to know that it could really change their family dynamics over time if they handle it and use it correctly.
Well, that's, one of my passions for real estate one of my passions is twofold. The 2 things that I'm really passionate about real estate is, number one, there's no other industry that's created more millionaires than any other industry, and that's real estate. And not saying I have to be a millionaire. That's just obviously that's a goal set, right? Sure. It creates more wealth than any other industry. Number 2, if you point to a singular event that changes the permanent trajectory of generational wealth, is home ownership. And to be able to help people as a fiduciary and as a guide and a servant to put them in real estate and put themselves in a great position, it's changed my trajectory. My wife and I were, hundreds of $1,000s in debt. And I was a teacher, educator as well. And, in 5 years, totally turned that over six times. It's wow. It's amazing. It's a very powerful tool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But it starts with that mindset shift to home ownership, to asset, and then use this vehicle to change the trajectory of my family forever.
There you go.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Let's go back to your roots. Tony Williams from the South End, Louisville, Kentucky. Where'd you go to middle school?
I went to Frost Middle School.
Okay.
And I would say a combination of West End, South End, because from deep in the West End, 43rd Market, when I was younger, to Dixie or 18th Street, Hill, that area, that is kind of like a gateway to both areas.
So, you probably don't know this. Did you know I taught at Frost? That was my first teaching job.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. I couldn't tell you. It's probably 16 years ago. But yeah, started off at Frost. Were you there with, was it Russell that went to school there? D'Angelo? Did D'Angelo Russell go to Frost?
His dad went to Frost.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a year or 2 older than I was. So when I got there 7th grade. Okay. 6th grade, I went to Conway. So it's again, South End.
South End.
But when I got there, I think he was transitioning to high school. Okay. But his dad, D'Angelo's dad, did go to Frost.
Okay. So you leave Frost, you go to Doss. Basketball. Frost to Doss.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a family member that was a close family member, but I consider a family member that was on the coaching staff, had played for Doss High School, and was also a mentor for me.
Who's your head coach at Doss?
Kevin Salyer.
Kim Salyer. Okay.
Yeah.
My kid's principal was a basketball coach at Doss at some time, and I can't think of his name right now. I'm going to think about it. Anyways, go ahead.
Mud.
Huh?
Was his last name Mud?
No.
Okay.
I can't think of it. Okay. But anyways, he coached Robbie, was it Robbie Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you play with Robbie?
Yeah, it was Coach Mudd.
Okay. Was it Mudd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. His dad, Leon Mudd, was athletic director and coach for Doss for years.
Okay.
And then Coach Mudd, his son, came in after my coach.
And then the Lauders.
Yep.
Greg, Mike.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Great people.
All right. So you're at Doss. Y'all had a pretty successful run there from 92, 96.
Yeah, we had a pretty successful run, but kind of like many other Doss teams historically, in Louisville, it is a tough place between the 6th and the 7th region. Mm-hmm. If you make it out of either one of those regions and end up playing, in the Sweet 16, right. You have pretty much done well in the city of Louisville.
Yeah.
And so we never made it out of the 6th region while I was playing, which as a player, that's all you want to do.
Right.
You want to make it to Rupp, and you want a chance to show the state who you are and represent the city of Louisville. But we did. I had some really great teammates. I had great coaches. Coach Salyer, he was an amazing mentor and coach. And so was, the other coaches that coach on the staff.
Did you have Purley and Gibson? Were they with you?
No. I had Coach Terrence Mormon, Sam Cook from the Cook family.
Okay.
He was one of my coaches. Coach Bunting, who was also the football coach.
Yep.
Coach, I think he was the principal at Ballard most recently. But that was my coaching staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to University of Louisville.
Went to the University of Louisville. Played for Coach Crum.
How amazing was that?
It was an amazing experience.
We're talking about an NCAA
Hall of Famer, legend, all that. It's crazy. That time period is so impressionable, right? And as an athlete, there has to be a form of arrogance to get to that level, right? So a lot of the things that Coach Crum impressed upon me did not hit home until a little bit later in life.
Right.
And that made me appreciate him that much more, that I was able to kind of get a chance to grow up and come back to say thank you. Thank you for those lessons that I didn't understand at the time, that my head was too hard to realize. And that goes to my mom too. I mean, I was, an athlete playing for the University of Louisville. It's very hard, again, to convince me different than what, my mindset was on at the time. So, yeah.
That as a coach, that's probably one of the greatest things, at the moment, that they're probably not getting all of it.
Yeah.
But I've put maybe 5 to 8 former students or former players in houses, either first time home buyer or moving. And it always, it's disappointing and humbling at the same time, because they'll tell me stuff I did when I was coaching. Like, hey, you remember when you told me this? And I'm like,
I said that.
I said that,
right?
But it stuck with them, and it was something that shaped and that is such a blessing. And I don't think, and speak to that a little bit more. I can't articulate what that means. It literally almost gives tears in the back of my eyes. But
same,
it's cool.
So one thing I was able to do before Coach Crum left was to spend a little time with him.
Okay.
To tell him thank you.
Yep.
When I became a coach at Doss, he came to my games. He watched me coach. I was able to do some of the things and transfer some of the things that he taught me to my players. And I was able to tell him thank you. I was able to spend some time with him. And that's something I don't take for granted either, because a lot of times in life we don't get to say thank you to the people that impressed upon us. So that means a lot. He and his wife, Susan, mean the world to me. So it's just a great experience.
What did, as an outsider looking in, as a fan of athletics, wasn't necessarily a Cardinal fan until of late, but because I've developed a new appreciation for, I grew up as a Kentucky fan because that's what everybody around me was, right?
Sure.
I couldn't be, it was actually funny. I went to St. Catherine College, junior college, and it was then that everybody's like, oh, you're from Louisville, you must like the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh, wait a second, I'm going to take on that identity. I'm going to let
there you go.
A guy by the name of Tobias Hopper.
Yeah, he was my teammate.
Was he?
Yeah.
So he was at St. Catherine when I was there. And Coach Crum came down in a helicopter to watch him play in this little bitty gym in Nelson County, Kentucky, Bardstown, Kentucky. Anyways, I got sidetracked. What did Denny Crum mean to the city of Louisville, the college basketball as a whole?
Sure.
And I know he meant the world to you, but I think we don't. You put him up there with Wooden, Rupp, Crum.
No doubt about it. When you talk about
Smith.
This region of where we are in the Midwest, Mid-South, however you want to call it, this is basketball country, and that's known. And so when you talk about a Coach Crum and what he means to the city of Louisville, he made you feel like he knew you and you knew him. You could come up and talk to him, then you'd see him on TV the next day, and it's almost surreal. Like that's Coach Crum. You know, I was fortunate enough that by the time I realized who I was on this earth, my uncle was already playing for Coach Crum at the University of Louisville. So Keith Williams played from 86 to 90, 10 years before I did. And so, you know, I'm 6, 7, 8 years old, and I'm realizing, you know, there's Louisville mugs, there's blankets, there's everything.
But those are the championships.
Those are the championships, 86 championship year. Yeah. And so I was already immersed in it before I even thought of the idea that I could even be a part of it in that way as a player. Mm-hmm. So it was just an amazing experience.
Not to bring how do you feel right now? The University of Louisville basketball has kind of gone on an ebb and flow. Where are we at in their trajectory of the resurgence of the Cardinals?
You know, I am really, really impressed by the way Coach Kelsey has come in, the way our athletic director has pretty much, as young as he is, and I can say the word inexperience, just with such a high caliber program, right? So I say that with all due respect, but how he's been able to, Josh has been able to find someone that fits the characteristics.
He feels like he's from Louisville.
He feels like he's from Frost, Doss, South End.
Maybe went to Butler, PRP.
Maybe Butler, PRP. But he wants the job. He accepts what comes with it, which means that it's pressure. But you got to love the city. You got to love the seat that you're in. It's not just for anybody. And so I can feel that from Coach Kelsey. And then, you know, the way his players, from what I've seen so far and what I've seen from his past coaching jobs, that they really buy into him, into his systems. And I think the icing on the cake, and not only how he has already invited the alumni to be a part of it, but Peyton Siva being a part of what they're doing as someone that those players can relate to and look at as a champion, and not as just as a champion basketball player, but as a champion in real life, as a champion as a person. I think for me, that is the icing on the cake, because it pretty much guarantees a sort of stamp that represents the Louisville brand, and I can appreciate that as well.
I love the fact that Peyton Siva came back to Louisville. That was a huge move. I mean, he already put his roots back down here, and then to have that happen is amazing. And you introduced me to Peyton, who's by the way, I am a nobody, but I am right now saying 2016 national champions. Right? Was that the one they tried to vacate?
The 2013.
2013. Yeah. 2013. They were national champions.
Oh, absolutely.
I watched that game. You are not taking that away from anybody from the city of Louisville.
Absolutely. Well, when I text Peyton, I don't say, "Hey, what's up, Peyton?" I say, "What's up, champ?"
What's up, champ?
You know, and that's it, because that's what it is.
Yeah. And a lot of those guys are still around. Luke's still around. Russ is in and out of Louisville all the time. So that's always fun. I love that. And then you got Rondo, and there's been so much talent come through the city.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Where are we heading next? Let's talk about, we're on sports. NIL. Changed the landscape of college sports forever.
Sure.
Yeah. you just kind of sunk on that. Come on. This is a passion for you, and I know why it's a passion. And it's, at the end it's going to monetize itself, but it's not about the money.
No. And the reason I guess I slumped is because it's undefined at this point. There's so much gray that should I, could I, can I, am I going to get slapped for this? Or can you define what this really means and what we can do in this space? And so compliance is the word for me that people aren't saying when they speak about NIL that should come right after NIL in my book, because the most important thing for the university is compliance, right? They want to make sure that the name, the reputation, and what they can do moving forward is doable, because they are compliant with the rules. And if the rules are undefined, it makes it hard to justify or to verify, confirm if you're compliant. So that's why I slumped. It's because it's changing, ever changing.
Well, I don't think the NCAA is going to come slap probation on me, but the NCAA's got to get this thing figured out, or this thing's going to go right past them. To have Heisman Trophy winners Heisman Trophy taken away from people and then given back because today's is different than yesterday, and then you're still sanctioning people for improper benefits.
And we still don't have our 2013.
We still don't have our
championship, which definitely we need that.
I mean, and it's silly that they'll go after an unsuccessful school and also in the Midwest and vacate their wins for a season because of this or that, and then you give a Heisman Trophy back, and Chris Webber's still not allowed to be at Michigan. It's almost a farce, and I would like to believe in something that they're doing good, but I'm not sure that. And their intent is probably good, but I'm not sure they're doing right by the student athlete at the moment. I'm not going to put you in that crux. I'm sorry. I went down a rabbit hole.
It's all right. I mean,
that's little disclosure. That's my personal opinion. It has nothing to do with the opinions of this network or anybody else that publishes it.
I love it.
Yeah. But how can you help a student athlete through the NIL space right now with a moving target of compliance?
I can help them in real estate.
There you go.
I can help them with financial literacy. Mm-hmm. I can help them avoid some of the mistakes that I made because of the people I know, like you, some of the relationships that I have made by coming into the space of real estate, coming as a loan officer, looking at pay stubs, looking at bank statements, looking at credit reports, having relationships with people in the financial space that could, once they do purchase and own a home, they can find elsewhere to put the money that their future self might thank them for. Things, again, that I did not know. Yeah. For me, the money that they can make right now is really just the carrot that we can dangle in front of them. You know, you can make money. It's hard to make money. Yeah. It's very easy to lose money. Yep. So if I, or anyone else for that matter, is helping these athletes make money, but we're not putting people in front of them that can introduce them to ways to help them keep that money. Not everybody's going to drink the water. I get it. Yeah. You're going to introduce people. They're not going to do those things. But for those few that take that professional advice, make those smart decisions now, and decide 8-10 years when the ball stops bouncing, so to speak, that they want to come back to some of those decisions they made. Yep. At least they can say they did that. Yeah. Well, and any profession for that matter, your window is only so big. There you go. Everybody's just closing at a different rate and a different speed. And you never know when that thing's going to close. Yes. So in your prime earning years, you should have full access to that. And for the NCAA to take so long to help this along, because you know, if you're a math student and you tutored somebody in math, you didn't get in trouble if they paid you for it. But if you're, you know, the second string quarterback at a Division I university and you put on a camp for the summer for a bunch of youth and take $5,000, you get slapped on your hands. So I think we're heading in the right direction. We're probably a little slow getting there. Yeah. But you know, those are, and then what do you do with that? What do you do with that to take care of your future self, like you said? Yeah. And that's my point, is that I guess so many people, even with NIL, not necessarily knowing what it means, what it consists of, they only think money. Yeah. Yeah, they think about, like, what was the movie Blue Chips? There you go. Where people are walking in with suitcases. Yeah. They go to the donors go to a game, or what was that? Oh God. Lattimore, the football players, they win a game and then the boosters all handle money. Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, student athletes getting paid for what their name and image is. Exactly. And again, if they make the money and they waste the money, they're the only losers. Yep. Really. And so I would love for people to start, when they hear NIL, think about the athlete and think about how they can help the future, the athlete, because many of us athletes, we end up having sort of an identity crisis when we no longer wear the jersey, when that window closes, when we no longer have access to the athletic facilities or the lunch ticket, and we didn't make those relationships. I didn't meet a Jimmy Smith, someone that I could call, to have their cell phone number and say, hey, this is what I think I want to do. You remember when you told me that I could get into real estate? When you remember when you told me this?
Yeah.
I want to pursue that. So many of us have an identity crisis that we don't know what we want to do. And then we go into a shell.
Yeah.
Because when we go out in public, people remember us for what we did on the court, but we don't know what we want to do outside of that because we did not put any focus or did not have the resources or did not drink the water again, so to speak, when we were given that opportunity. And that's one of my passions, is not just helping them get paid, but help them with resources, people, opportunities, networking that they can fall back on when that, again, ball stops bouncing.
Yeah. You're giving them access to multiple tools, whether one tool is money, the other tool is relationships.
There you go.
The other tool is education.
There you go.
And not just, classroom education, like how to, for lack of a better words, how to be a contributing member to society. Like, what does that look like? And again, I get so frustrated with people that are like, it's ruining the sport. We're talking about an 18-year-old kid, and most student athletes they're not, even if they're university, and I don't know how it's done. Like, there's a small university here that has created a cooperative, basically they've brought a bunch of donors together to pool money so that everybody on a certain program is getting something, whether you're the starting point guard or the fifth guy on the practice team.
Yeah, a collective.
Collective. Yep. So I think there's going to be a lot of good with it. And again, once we get clear guidelines, then we can really pour into it. Our student athletes are allowed to take on an agent or a representative at this moment?
Not an agent.
Right.
Maybe you can use the word an agency.
All right. Or
right.
A consultant.
Because there you go. An agent, for that term, usually refers to helping them sign a deal to go pro, right? An agency can help them find lucrative opportunities in exchange for their name, image, likeness. And maybe the term agent can be used in this, but I think that gives off more vibes of looking for that first round draft pick or something like that when they're in college. Yeah. They should be enjoying college while they're here. Right. There is that anomaly here and there, especially in this region between Louisville, Kentucky, and all the other surrounding universities, where you'll have a one and done, so to speak, in football. You'll have it in basketball, baseball. But for the most part, there's a 90 percentile that won't be in that category and won't make as much money. And will at some point sooner rather than later need to think about life after their sport. Right.
And I also think there's another part of the NIL that might allow, not to say marginal, but I'll say marginal professional athletes, where they would have got out of college and went and, maybe be a free agent sign or a D League or something like that. They come back for another year, which could further their education and maybe make them that a little bit better that next year, right? One more year against quality athletes and one more year of education could change. Whereas I think we've seen in the past, people run for the money bag of the lottery or the draft, and they're not really ready, but they knew their window was closing, so they jumped at an opportunity to hit the money.
Yeah. Well, one of the cool things that you'll also find is that sometimes staying in college, people are worth more in college. Some of these athletes are worth more in college than they will ever be at a professional level. And so again, sometimes taking that leap might work in reverse.
Exactly.
From a monetary standpoint. Yeah. And you do need, you said consultant, you do need good people that can help you and your family around you.
You need to be in good company.
You need to be in good company. I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Love that. All right. I think we've kind of hit just about anything on your mind that you want to put us in a rabbit hole on?
Just, again, service.
Yeah. I'm going to hit you with 3 burning questions. So do you want to do that first? And then,
are they burning?
Well, I think they're burning. They're burning for me.
All right.
Peace, profit, and purpose. I try and I struggle and I don't win all the time, but, in my world, I'm like, all right, what's going to bring me peace? Why I'm on this earth? What brings me purpose? And how do I win every day? Where do I measure my profit? So, it could be monetary, and that's fine. Where do you find peace? I know the answer to this.
Peace. Yeah, I find peace at home with my family, and I find peace with knowing that. Again, if I can pray and I can read the word, having a feeling that I've done good on that day.
Yep.
Every day is not going to be a great day, but on a day where I can have my family and I can pray and say and get a feeling back that I did good on that day, I find peace. I sleep really good.
Yeah,
and I'm a happy person.
I don't think I've ever seen you not happy.
I get a lot of peace.
There you go. All right, purpose. What do you put on this world to do?
I'm put on this earth to help people. I'm put on this earth to be a communicator, an educator, and someone that when I give you my word, you can bet on that.
Yep.
That's my purpose.
Integrity.
Yes, sir.
All right. So profit, again, that's the combination word for how do you know you're winning every day?
Well, again, I think it goes back to each day being better than the day before. You know, looking at a long-term goal is much harder for me than taking it day by day. And where I come from, there's a lot of reasons to make excuses on why I didn't do something or why I failed. I've got a lot of good reasons. And that's another episode of why I could tell you that I didn't do something well.
Yeah.
But also, I have a lot of good reasons to do things the right way and to do right by people and to take it one day at a time. So when I talk about profits, one saying that I heard was, if you make a small gain every day, you never lose.
Right.
You can never lose. If you make a small gain every day, you can never lose. So with that said, every single day, my number one goal is to be better than the day before. That's it.
Yep.
Put a string of those together, then you got months.
Yeah.
Put those together, then you got years.
Yep.
And you can look back and you can have something you can be proud of, and that's my purpose.
See, I'm a baseball guy. So would you rather have a home run or 4 singles? I'd rather have 4 singles.
Okay.
Because the first single, you're on first base. Second single, it's first and third. Next single, it's a run and somebody on third. Next single, so you score more runs.
How many people were on base when you hit the home run, though?
Well, I'm saying a single. Sorry. Hey,
I'm joking, Jim.
We can't have a bases empty grand slam. That doesn't work.
Go.
Yeah,
I got you.
But yeah, so yeah, you add up a bunch of singles, you're going to score more runs than one home run. So
I love it.
Brother, I appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having me.
It's always a good time to see you.
Yes,
We're getting ready to go to basketball season. Can I ask for another one time to go to a basketball game with you again? I had such a blast that
Kelsey,
day.
you got to meet Jimmy Smith. All right, I'm bringing him to practice, and I'll be bringing him to games. Yeah. All right, there we go.
All right, I just enjoyed that with you.
Peyton, Jimmy Smith.
We got to get Peyton on here.
There you go.
Will he get on?
I think so.
Yeah.
Can you pay him?
I can.
NIL?
No, he can't get NIL money. He's a coach.
Can. Oh, yes, he can.
Coach can get NIL money?
Yeah, he can. Peyton can get some NIL.
All right. My son went to his basketball camp, so
I'll keep he might give you a freebie one time.
All right. Brother, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
Yep.